Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Dan's Pro Shop, where everything's made up and the instructions don't matter. That's right, just like the flammable warning on this can of Brake Clean. We call that an attention getter. Well, today, we're going to take a little bit of a turn and not do so much of the tech stuff that we normally get into, but we're going to talk about how this YouTube thing got kicked off here, and particularly what I use and how I do it. You know, you see a lot of channels on YouTube, how to start your channel, what to do, this and that. But it's really geared towards like gamers and like financial people and how to get sponsors and yada yada yada. But I have yet to come across one for people like us that just do stuff and want to put it out there. So I'm going to take you along and show you some of the equipment, the bare minimum. Trust me, it's the bare minimum. The equipment of how I get this thing going. It's really not all that involved. You just need the ambition and the want to do it. So let's go ahead and get into this and see what we got going on. Well, guys, let me start this off by letting you know that it's going to be a little jumping around here. You're going to be having some change in scenery between location A and B here. I'm just kind of putting this thing together as I go, and you know, this stuff has been added and taken away. Either way, you'll get the point, I promise you. But the main factor here is if you want to do this, you have to want to do this. I mean, yes, there is some point of motivation behind it. I mean, yeah, there is a potential for a career with doing this. Lord knows I am not to that point. I am still waking up every morning and going to a job. This is kind of like an extracurricular thing. I mean, who knows? It may take off at some point. I mean, many people have gotten to that point with YouTube, but dude, let me tell you the work that is involved with this. It is absolutely unreal. Like, you have to be insanely motivated. That is the first and foremost thing if you want to do this. I cannot stress that enough, the motivation that is behind this. Because, like, any stupid little thing, let's just say that, I don't know, you're changing a furnace filter, okay? A super simple little project like that almost all homeowners can do, right? That takes you 5 minutes at most, and that's even pushing it. If you try to film that process and put together a dialogue and kind of like a script and order of operations, you know, you're just thinking about the stuff in the background as you're doing it. But that 5-minute project, in order to film it and make like a cohesive video that makes sense, and then to film it, and then to upload it, and then to edit it, and that 5-minute project easily turns into an hour just to do this. So that motivation factor really keeps coming into this because it just takes so much effort. And please don't take this as like a griping session here. I truly do enjoy doing this stuff because I feel like we've kind of gotten to the point where there's a connection here. I enjoy doing this, and you guys give me a bunch of great feedback, and I think that's absolutely awesome. It's just, man, that motivation. You got to be super determined and want to do this. Because every little thing, oh man, it turns into a real chore sometimes. You know, you're doing something like putting a ball joint in a car or something, but you're trying to film it to make an interesting video, and every 2 minutes you got to stop and change camera angles, or heaven forbid you forget to hit that record button before you start, and you're just ripping through. You know, you get involved in your project, and half an hour goes by, and you go to check the camera and, oh my goodness, I didn't hit the record button. Or like you forget your microphone sitting on the bench, and now you have no audio for an hour of film that you just made. And it's just, yeah, it can get irritating at times, especially whenever you're doing stuff like this, you know, working with your hands. You're doing a project and you're trying to film at the same time. It may be different for different categories. Like if you're filming over like computer stuff or whatever, may not be that big of a deal. But this stuff, I mean, it's just, it can be cumbersome. Either way, what I'm getting at is you gotta have that motivation to stick with this. And I promise you, you will pick up steam. It may seem as like it takes freaking forever. And there are some times for serious lulls too. It's like, I don't know, you may get, I don't know, 1,000 subscribers in a day. You may get 1,000 subscribers over 6 months. And sometimes you can watch that subscriber count It even goes down. I have absolutely no idea how this YouTube thing works, but man, you watch the analytics, it shows you like a bar graph of like live data and this and that. And sometimes it's super depressing. Like you're putting in the work, you're putting in the time, you're putting in the effort, you're trying to come up with ideas, you're filming, you're editing, you're pouring everything you have into this, and your channel is just going nowhere. It's you got to push through those hard times because like nobody understands the algorithm. Maybe like Mr. Beast, he's got it beat, but who knows? He's got endless resources and just a mountain of money to pour into this thing. The average Joe like you and I, that ain't the case, Jack. You just gotta want to do it and pour your heart and soul and passion into something that you feel is worth sharing. Now, that being said, as long as you have that down, you gotta want to do it. I cannot stress that enough. You have to want to do it. And just stick with it, man. Just stick with it. I promise you, it will go if you make it go. So let's start going over some of the stuff here. And like I mentioned, it's bare minimum stuff. I mean, what you're seeing right now, I'm filming on the phone that's in my pocket. I don't even have fancy camera equipment. I do this entire channel. Everything that you guys have seen from the beginning till now has been done on my iPhone. So you don't got to go out and blow a bunch of money on a camera. I mean, you can, but Lord knows I haven't gotten to that point yet. It's just super easy to do with the stuff that you already have with minimal investment. So now, once we've gotten that point beat into the ground, fair enough, let's start going over some of the stuff that you may want. So let's just clip back to that other place. All right, guys, we're going to kick this off by going over the equipment that I use to do this. And like I said in the intro, it's bare minimum. This stuff all comes from Amazon, so you know it's not top tier. I'm sure you can get better grades of all of this, but I'm going to link all this stuff in the description so you can grab it if you're interested. Because to be honest with you, I can't pronounce the names of most of this stuff, so you can just look it up if you want to. First thing is first, the microphone that I'm wearing. It's this wireless Bluetooth kit from Amazon. I think it was like 40 bucks, maybe. It has, I'll bring you in so you can see this stuff a little bit better after we go through it. This kit has two wireless Bluetooth microphones, just like the one that I'm wearing. It's got this little blue light, and there's a receiver that plugs into the phone that you can't see because I'm using it. But there's a blue light on that receiver that lets me know as I'm doing the filming that my microphone is communicating. If it starts blinking or whatever, it tells me the battery's dying, so I know it's time to pause and charge up. But it's cool that there's two of these microphones in here, so you can either put this microphone on something like whatever you're doing to get some better audio, or give it to somebody else so you can have two-person mic'd up conversation. It's super nice, and this kit that it's in here is a charger. So whenever your microphone is in the case, it's charging. It's really nice. Takes a USB-C, just plug it into your computer, whatever. Really handy. This is probably the best one that I've run into. The second thing is the stand that is holding you right now. So there's this like 5-foot telescoping cell phone holder selfie stick thing. Maybe 20 bucks, maybe. It's not fancy at all. It doesn't move all around, just holds the phone there. But this is the best one that I've run across. I promise I'll show you here in a minute. The last one, and by far the most expensive, is this thing called a gimbal. So throughout doing this, I have found out that this is kind of worth it. So if you guys don't know, I'm sure most of you do, but if you don't, like I didn't, a gimbal holds your phone or a camera, and it has 3 axes of movement, so it keeps your phone level. It's really cool, and there's a bunch of different settings. Like you can put it on POV, you can put it on linear, you can put it on planar. That way, whenever you move, it keeps your camera straight and flat and gives the viewer, you, a much better quality image. Because, you know, anybody, you know, you get a little shaky with the hands there doing the filming. It looks crappy whenever you're doing it in post. So investing in something like this, I think this was like $85. And like I said, I don't even know the name of it, and even if I did, I couldn't pronounce it. But this thing's super handy. It comes with an app, so you can control your phone with all these buttons. You got zoom, you got focus, you get all kinds of stuff. Let's dig in a little bit closer here so I can show you what's going on. Okay, so the first thing we got here is this is the case for the microphones I was telling you about. See, this is the case that charges it, and it has a little LED indicator here that tells you the charge status of the case. Whenever you get in here, see, it's got these two little cavities here where these microphones go, and that light tells you that this one is charging. This cavity here is where the receiver that's plugged into the phone goes. You can tell that's just a little port that plugs into the bottom of your iPhone. So obviously the one that's missing is the one that I'm wearing right now. It has a little like tie clip on it, so you can just put it on whatever you want. This thing is super handy, and I think it works well for the price. I'm sure there are way better ones, but this one actually works great. I've yet to have an issue with it. Real nice. So the next thing is this gimbal, they call it. So this thing is an Oshuan or whatever. I don't know how to say that. But like I said, it's going to be in the description if you want to check it out. I did a whole bunch of research and looked at a bunch of reviews and everything. And this is definitely the biggest bang for your buck on Amazon if you want to get into this and not go into debt. So these things are actually really cool how they work. It spins around for like 300 some degrees. This axis moves 300 some degrees. And then this one also spins. I mean, there's a technical term for all these axes, but I'm not a camera guy. I don't know. But this is super nice because if you want to do a landscape film like we're doing right now, this thing spins. And if you want to do a portrait, I believe that's called, that you can spin this thing 90 degrees so you can do YouTube shorts and TikToks and all that stuff. So whenever you hold the power button and turn this thing on, once it powers up, it just like automatically goes to where it's supposed to go. This thing, it's kind of like alien. It controls itself. It's really weird. Whenever you go through all these settings here, see, that's, I know these mean something, but this is the one that I use most of the time. POV for point of view. Whenever you have your phone in here, it'll kind of just move on its own and stay in a particular plane. These things are super cool. I'll throw my other phone in here so you guys can see what's going on. Cool. Now that we got the iPhone hooked up in the old gimbal here, go ahead, press the power button and hold it until the screen turns on. Check it. Look at that. How cool is that? This thing is absolutely mesmerizing. Trust me, whenever you get it, you're just going to fiddle with this thing for a while because it's super cool how it handles. Like look at that. Technology is a beautiful thing. This just makes it so nice whenever you're walking around the shop, doing whatever you're doing. It keeps your image clear. So let's go ahead and turn the camera on so you can actually see what's going on through this. So you can see what I'm seeing when I'm filming stuff. Check this out. Look at that. You can tell this thing to stay looking at whatever you want it to look at. You can use the buttons here on the front. Let's see, let's change this to F, whatever that means. So that means, oh, this is follow. So the axis will follow whatever you're pointing at. And that means, like, if you twist your wrist, it will twist also. Super cool. Let's do the next one here. I think this one means landscape. I don't know. Like I said, I really only use the one setting. This one here, it just kind of sticks with your movement, but it makes everything really smooth. This is probably one of the coolest things I've run into tech-wise as far as this whole YouTube thing goes. All right, so we're gonna do a quick walk around here. I'm just holding the phone in my hand so you guys can see what this looks like. I'm gonna do a quick run around the table here so you can see how gnarly this image is and why, if you choose to get into this, getting one of these gimbals is totally the way to go. So I'm going to run back to the table here, hook the phone up into the gimbal. We're going to do this same lap so you can see the difference. Trust me, it's worth it. All right, now the phone is hooked up into the gimbal. We're going to do this same lap. Check out how smooth this image is. I'm doing the same thing. I'm not intentionally shaking all over the place, but you can see how incredibly smooth this image is. Up, down, all around. I mean, you can't tell, but my arm is going crazy right now, but the phone is focused on me. So you don't give your viewers epilepsy by going all over the place. This thing is super handy, so if you want to get into this, this is one of my top 3 recommendations.
And the very last thing that we have is the phone stand thing I was telling you about earlier. It's nothing fancy, it's just like a 5-foot telescoping selfie stick. I'll flip you around so you can see it. So this is the old girl right here. Like I said, nothing fancy. It's just got a tripod base down there that all folds up so you can use this as a selfie stick if you want to. And then this thing up here, it just, you know, it rotates, it tilts, it opens and closes to hold your phone. This thing's also like a 1/4-inch bolt stud thing, so you can put like a camera, a GoPro, whatever you want. And you guys see me doing this all the time. You know, this is a YouTube thing. You see everybody do this because the focus aspect on an iPhone sucks. You have to tell the camera what you want it to look at. And since there's a whole bunch of stuff in the background, that's like the default. That's what your phone wants to look at. But whenever you have something small in the foreground here, I need to block out the background so my phone knows what I want it to look at. So I know this may be like a stupid social media thing, but it actually makes sense just because you can't make your camera focus on what you want it to focus on. Another really cool thing I forgot to mention about this, probably one of the best features actually, is this thing here where your phone connects. This is actually a wireless charger for your phone. So if your phone accepts wireless charging, whenever you press and hold the record button on here, this thing turns on and inductively charges your phone while you're filming. How awesome is that? I know it absolutely destroys the battery inside this thing. You might get like an hour or so out of it. Otherwise, you would get like 15 to 20 hours of this thing operating on a full charge. But it's freaking awesome. And on the back of this thing here, this ring is an LED light. I mean, it's not crazy, it's not like a spotlight, but it works pretty good if you're doing something in a dark area to really light up your image. Okay, the last thing about doing this whole YouTube thing is the editing. If you guys seen any of my earlier stuff, you have a pretty clear understanding that I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And as you do this, you will get better, that I promise. So if you have an iPhone, I don't know anything about Androids, trust me. You guys know, you're either one or the other. If you have an iPhone, there's this app called iMovie, and you can get this on your MacBook also, so you can do it on your laptop. You get into iMovie here, it's free, it's awesome, it's ready to go. So whenever you get into iMovie, let's start this over here. So I want to make a new movie. This thing here, this saves the drafts of the stuff that you're working on, so you can come back in and do this at your leisure. I want to make a new movie here, so I click on movie on the bottom, click on the video that I want to edit, and then create movie. So this is something I made real quick, so just so we can have an example here.
Here's a quick little video that we're just going to use as an example on how to use iMovie.
Cool. So let's say I want to edit this and put my intro in at the end of this video. So let's find a spot that you want to put it in, whatever, right here. Whenever you tap on your timeline, it highlights yellow and it has this line in the middle that splits your video where you want it to. So once you tap on where you want to split it, hit split. That cuts this in half, so the highlighted area, you can move it, you can add something to it, you can delete it, whatever you want to do. So let's say I want to add my intro right here. So whenever I have my line there, I hit the add button, the video, I go to all videos, and then scroll for the video that you want to add to it. So right here, 15 seconds. This is Dan's Pro Shop intro. I want to add that right there. And then you can change your transitions. You see this thing right here? Dissolve, slide, wipe, fade, whatever. Dissolve is usually the one that I use because that kind of like mushes the images together and makes it look real nice and fluid. So let's go ahead and play this whole thing.
Here's a quick little video that we're just going to use as an example on how to use iMovie.
Now you're going to see this chunk is left over at the end. Super easy to get rid of. Just tap on it, delete. Now, this gear in the bottom here, fade in from black and fade out to black. That takes the beginning of your video and the end of your video and gives it that little professional fade in and out, just like you're going to see on this video. So once you do that, let's start this video at the very beginning and you'll see how it comes in, and you're going to absolutely love it.
Here's Here's a quick little video that
You see that fade in? It's not just like an image right now. It fades in and out, so it makes it look so much better. I don't know about you guys, but I think that that just absolutely looks great. And for editing a channel on a phone, I think this works pretty well.
All right, real quick little sidebar here. In case you guys are wondering, you may have seen that on a couple intros before, and including this one. I did it on purpose. The brought to you by Trader Horn. It's not necessarily a sponsor of Dan's Pro Shop. It's more like me paying my respects to Trader Horn. You guys may or may not know that I am based in Western Pennsylvania, right in the Pittsburgh area. And we used to have a chain of hardware stores around here called Trader Horn. Like that bucket right there. Trader Horn, my favorite store. Well, it still is. It's, even though it's not around anymore, you know, things happened. It was a family business, and the owner passed away, and, you know, it just dissolved. It's a real shame. It was a real hit to the local economy here. I absolutely love that store. Like, you could get anything. Like, if you needed a Valentine's Day card, a toilet seat, a box of 16 penny nails, and a jar of pickles, and a hammer, you know, you could get it all in one place. It was like a general store and a hardware store. It was absolutely amazing. But, you know, for the people that know that, get a real kick out of it. It doesn't really mean anything, but it's, I'm sorry, I'm done rambling. Back to the original thing.
Hopefully somebody can get something out of this, because I know a year or so ago, whenever I was really looking into getting into this, I was doing all kinds of searching over all kinds of platforms to see how somebody like me would get into doing something like this. And there really isn't a how-to guide. So I kind of just like winged it and found myself where I am now. So this is the equipment. Like I said, it's going to be in the description if you want to check it out. All three of these things, which I know it's a long list, but really, this is all you need. And really, you don't even need a microphone. It just greatly improves the quality of your video. So if that matters to you, that's what matters to you.
All right, guys, we're back here at this shop for a minute. Like I mentioned in the beginning, and probably throughout this thing, dude, motivation and determination are the biggest thing. The number one tool that you need for YouTube is you and your mindset. If you want to do this, you have to want to do this. I mean, and I am by no means good at this. I mean, I've kind of gotten the hang of it because I've been doing this for a minute now. But you guys see, I mean, it's just, I put my phone on a stick and you just do you. I mean, your channel is you. You have to be comfortable in front of a lens, you know? I mean, if you guys have followed me for any amount of time and you saw my earlier stuff, you know, it's just, man, doing this is weird. You know, it takes a bit to get over that. I mean, even though like you're by yourself, or even if you're around other people or whatever, it's just, there is that weird camera shyness and you don't really know how to be yourself while filming yourself. But that's just something that you kind of get over. And, you know, like coming up with dialogue, and it's just, I was so concerned about that at the beginning, like what to say and how to do my stuff chronologically and this and that. But once you get better with editing, you can kind of do that. But even that being said, you know, you try to kind of film stuff in order so you don't have to spend so much time editing. Because like I mentioned before, man, some stupid little project, you know, it can, that project may take you 10 minutes in the real world, but to film it, it takes an hour. And then to edit that hour worth of filming, it may take another 3 hours. And then you're putting links and this and that and writing descriptions and uploading to here and uploading to there and downloading to your hard drive. And dude, it is involved. There is a lot of back end work in a YouTube channel that most people don't understand or appreciate. So if you guys do this, hats off, because I get it. There is so much involved in this that I never ever understood or appreciated until I started doing it on my own. But either way, I mean, this can be a totally rewarding side project. If you guys really are interested in kicking something like this off for yourself, you just got to find something that you're passionate about. And obviously, if you guys are watching this, you know what I'm about. I'm all about tools and machines and wiring and anything that's just like industrial and awesome. That's me. And whenever you do your channel, just make it about you, something that you don't have to think about. It's just easy. It rolls off the tongue. And your personality just kind of shines through once you get through that rough patch that you don't really know how to interact here. Man, it becomes easier with time, I promise. And like I said, I'm not good at this by any means. There are people that spend probably thousands, tens of thousands in getting editors and writers and coming up with like legitimate material and this and that. And bro, that is not how I roll. I just come across a project and like, hey, that might be cool to share. Somebody might get a kick out of that, or somebody might even find it legitimately useful. You come across something, you don't know what's going on. Well, hey, maybe Dan's got a video. Maybe he's figured it out already, and I don't got to spend the time to do it. Hey, that would be cool. I try to find stuff that's useful to put out to yins, or maybe not even useful, just entertaining. Either way, you try to kind of fill that niche. And I don't know if maybe I just found a hole in YouTube that didn't really exist, with like industrial maintenance and troubleshooting and like heavy mechanical stuff. I know there's a ton of mechanic channels and like car channels and this and that, but like industry stuff, like you guys have seen mostly around here, I kind of bounce all around because just because I do that stuff at work and I do different stuff at home, you guys have seen videos here and there, but I just think it's cool to share this kind of stuff, which brings us back to the point of the channel moral is you. Make it about you, make it easy. Once it just comes naturally, man, this stuff is super simple. Now, keep in mind all that behind the curtain crap stays there. No matter how good or how comfortable you get at this, you still got to spend hours moving cameras and getting different angles and coming up with different stuff to say. The dialogue will come with this easier. Like you'll get better at explaining stuff and this and that, if that's what your channel's about. I don't know, maybe your channel's about making fishing lures or something. Whatever, that's cool. It takes all kinds. But the point is, all that back end stuff still stays there no matter how good you get at this. You will still spend countless hours editing. It's just, I mean, you will get better at it. Like whenever I first started doing this, man, it would take me forever editing something on my phone, or like my wife has a MacBook, so you can still use that same iMovie on an Apple PC. So either way, but like I've gotten much better at it. I can use it a lot more efficiently than I used to. And in the way that you film things in the different orders, it makes it easier on yourself on the back end. Like that's something that you keep in mind. The better you get at this, as you're filming a project, like how can I do this so that it makes sense and it makes it easier for me tomorrow whenever I'm editing all this stuff. I'm not jumping back and forth between, this cloud video or this SD card, or oh, this is saved on my camera photos and this and that, and try to put everything in order to make it easier for yourself. But yeah, moral of the story, guys, is you have to want to do it. So guys, in conclusion here, the moral of the bloody story overall is you gotta be yourself, man. That's all there is to it. I know there's a lot more to it than that, but that's it. I mean, you gotta like what you do and you gotta want to do it. That is the biggest driving factor behind this entire thing. Yeah, the more stuff you get, the easier it can be. I mean, who knows? Maybe it gets more complicated the more stuff you get. I don't know. You guys saw my get up. It's not very involved. But man, as long as you want to do it, you can do it. And like I mentioned, keep in mind, you got to push through those rough times because they will come. It just feels like you're bashing your head against the wall and getting absolutely freaking nowhere. And the comment section, and unless you got thick skin, stay away. I mean, whenever I first started this thing, man, it was like every 20 minutes or so, I was ripping through there, seeing what Jins had to say. And I got to be honest with you, there are a lot of genuine, nice, helpful people out there that are like really actually grateful. I'm like, hey, thanks for the tip, Dan. You saved me an hour on this project. Yeah. But the flip side of that coin, there are a lot of terrible people out there. And it's just absolutely mind blowing that somebody can put that stuff out on the internet. I mean, there are just some downright terrible people out there. And there's no avoiding it. It's the internet. Whenever you're pouring yourself out there like that, you have to be open to the bad that comes with the good. So like I mentioned, unless you have thick skin, stay away from the comment section because it can be rough. There are those type of people out there, so just keep that in mind. And along with the comments section, the analytics on YouTube, which can be super helpful because like it tells you like the demographic that you're hitting and the kind of stuff that's more popular than others and like which of your videos are doing better. So like you can kind of like hone in on different topics and like, well, this part of this video did really good and this didn't. Maybe my intro is too long, or maybe I talked about this for too long, or you know, people like this stuff better than this stuff. You know, it is good, useful information, but at the same time, those analytics can be completely demoralizing. Like, you know, oh, I put out 6 videos in the last month and I only got 40 views. What's up with that? It's just, it will work. I promise you. You just got to find something that you're passionate about, like it enough to do this, and then it will just go. I promise you, it does work. You just got to work for it, and eventually it will work for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little thing. Like I mentioned, I will link all this stuff down in the description. There ain't much, and I still don't use much. It's just, you know, if I would have found this video before I started this channel, it would immensely help me out. I mean, there's so much that goes into doing this, but whenever you break it down, it's really not that bad. Now, obviously, one of the things I didn't talk about is you clearly need a YouTube account. Once you do all the editing and you have your video done, you have to be able to upload it onto your channel. That's a whole other thing, setting up your channel. You know, like you got to make like a banner and a header for your channel, and like you got to get a handle, YouTube calls it. Like this one is at Dan's Pro Shop, but they generate one for you, but you can change it. Either way, it's nuances of actually using YouTube, but you will walk through that. I mean, it's kind of, you know, click, read the instruction, click, read the instruction. There's not much to the actual YouTube thing. And then, you know, the social media aspect of all of it. If you want to get your stuff out there, you know, spread your wings, if you will. You know, there's YouTube, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's the TikToks, there's the Twitter or whatever they call it now. I don't know. All of these platforms have like the shorts or the reels or the stories or the videos. You know, spread your stuff out there. You know, just try to get it to as many people as you can. You know, you're spending all this time and effort and pouring your heart and soul into this content. You know, get it out there. You know, you might reach somebody on a different platform that wasn't on your original one, and who knows, man, maybe that might spring something into action. That being said, I mean, you guys probably put this together that YouTube is my primary place because, you know, they give you the most creative and artistic, you know, freedom. I feel like there still are a lot of restrictions, you know, especially with like music and putting links in different places and this and that. There are restrictions, but that being said, YouTube is a pretty free place for creators to express ourselves. So hopefully you guys do genuinely get something out of this if you are feeling that you may want to start a YouTube channel, because man, this is good stuff, and it is rewarding if you make it rewarding for yourself. And this thing, I mean, this is super cool. That like the interaction that I get with you guys, I never knew that that would have been as cool as it was. But I do genuinely enjoy interacting with you guys, and I just think this is super cool. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one.